Welcome to the Redvee TV preview show, supported by A-Star Recruitment for the 2020 season, as we look ahead to Saints' round 3 clash against Hull FC this weekend at the stadium in Hull.
The K-Com.
It is the K-Com.
Yeah,
I was going to say the KC Stadium.
Yeah, it used to be.
Close
Yeah.
enough. But before we start discussing the game of the weekend, I think we better discuss the big news of the week. 2 big signings for Saints.
Yep.
One potentially a little bit for the future and one for the here and now. Lewis Dodd signing a new deal and Mark Percival as well.
Great news. It's good that we can tie down talent that, as you say, is first team ready, and talent that will hopefully be first team ready when called upon to such long deals. It just shows how well the club's run at the moment, and how, I mean, how they bring lads through the academy system.
I think we know already that essentially there will be whiteboards at the club with the next 4 seasons, and the team will start to be mapped out from now. It's not something that just comes together at the end of every year. Saints will have a long-term strategy, and it's good to know that Mark Percival will now be on every single one of them boards.
Yep.
Coming into the prime of his career, and Saints are now going to get the best years out of him without the worry of him potentially going elsewhere or even trying his hand down under.
Yeah. Well, that's it. There's quite a few people coming back to us on social media, and somebody said they didn't think he'd make it in the NRL, but all it needs is him to go and, as people have done in the past, pay their own way and say, right, you know what, I'll give it a go. I'll go on to a lower contract over there and give it a shout. As you say, it ties him to us for the next 5 years. It makes him part of our future. I think it's a great signing because, as Eamon says, he's the best centre in England at the moment.
Here's one for you, a future Saints captain.
Possibly. We call him the Prince, so no reason why he can't be king.
Who's the king at the minute? Johnny.
Yeah, probably. Or Roby.
Oh no, he's the Queen Mother.
I'll let you tell him that.
But yeah, and Lewis Dodd. I think there's high hopes for him at the club. I don't think there would have been. Well, we let Danny Richardson go without any sort of whimper, really, didn't we? Because we knew we had Lewis Dodd. I think we've spoke to a couple of ex-players who were involved at the club who've told us that Lewis Dodd is going to be the real deal. You can see in the next couple of years, obviously, whether Theo stays or he wants to try his hand down under, that Lewis Dodd is going to get game time this year. In the next couple of years, he will ascend into that half-back position. You never know, maybe beside Jack Wellesby.
Yeah, you've just named a couple of players who signed on last year as well, because Wellesby signed a new deal, whether that was beginning of this year or end of last year. Farge signed a 2-year deal. Lomax has signed a long-term deal. So, yeah, I saw him in the reserve game at Ruskin against Salford. He scored 2 tries and he pretty much ran the game for Saints. I think he's gone down to London last weekend and scored a hat-trick as well.
Good with the boot.
Yeah, he looks like he's got it all now. It is a big step up from reserve up to first team level, but that's why the reserve grade's there. It's there for players to start getting regular game time, proving themselves, and then when the opportunity comes along, dropping straight into that first team.
Now that brings me on to the next news of the week, that we have gone dual reg with Lee for this season. Is that potentially answering the question whether the reserve league is working at this moment in time, or is it not as strong as it might be, and it's still a step below probably the lads being able to play championship rugby and get them a competitive game time? Because I'm looking at some of those teams that we're facing in the reserve league at the moment, and they're not always the strongest. So maybe it's a case of Lewis Dodd might get loaned out at some point to the likes of Lee and try and get some good game time in the championship to maybe potentially toughen you up. I don't know. Or we're just keeping our options open.
It's a fair point. I'd say more keeping your options open. We've got a few injuries in the reserves at the minute. I know Josh Eves is out, Josh Sims out. So being able to bring in lads from Lee to bolster the reserves. I think you've got to give the reserves time as well. You can't just expect it to be a thriving competition overnight. You've got to build it and see kind of how it works organically, really, just how it builds. But I'd say it's a little bit of both. We've had Ryan Ince, who was Widnes and has now gone to League. We had him playing for us last week for the reserves, and we've had a couple of League players kind of coming over on dual reg. I don't think, unless injuries really strike, that we'll be putting them anywhere near the first team. But as you say, it could just be a good one for a couple of lads just to get a bit more match sharpness playing against the likes of your Toulouse, your Bradford, your Widnes, your York, people like that. Could be a good hit out, and as I say, Leo probably need it, you'd imagine, if they get injuries, and they can complement us when we get injuries in the reserves and the lads have gone through to the first team.
Now this weekend, a big game for us as we travel to Hull.
Yep.
Hull, start of the year, for me, have probably been the most impressive team in Super League. I can't think of anyone else who's even come close to them, really. A really good win at Leeds. They showed how to win in a tough derby game last week. They seem to have recruited really well in the off-season to complement what they already had at the club. And they could be really strong, and I don't think we could probably face a tougher away game than one at the K-Con this weekend.
Yeah, I like Hull, to be honest. I always think Super League needs a strong Hull team.
It appears the crowd have reacted to that in Hull as well.
Yeah.
I think I read today, I think the East and West stands are pretty much sold out for this weekend for a Sunday game, and that tells you Hull, well, they want success, don't they?
Yeah.
And when they're playing well, the crowd will come out and support them, and hopefully Saints will take a good following up there on a Sunday game as well. I think the last few years we've been stuck on a M62 on a Friday evening.
Trying
lost
to get through the diversions, yeah. And you're right, I think the whole crowd have bought into what they've done. They have recruited well. I know they're missing a couple this week through injury and suspension. But the likes of Josh Jones, who is a good, solid second rower. They've brought in Adam Swift, who we've openly said it's going to be tough for Adam to get a starting jersey because they've got 4 good wingers over there.
But he did play last weekend.
And I fully expect him to play this weekend as well.
And he's got a point to prove.
He has. So they've recruited well and they've put that competition for places in. And it seems like they are reacting to it. If they can carry it on throughout the season, that's another thing. And that's a challenge for Lee Radford.
Yeah, and I think Adam Pearson, the whole chairman, has quite clearly said he wants success this season. He expects trophies, and to be fair, Hull are a big club and they should be competing for them, and I think that's the thing that Lee Radford's got to step up to this season, isn't it? It's a really big year for him up there, I think.
Yeah, they've given him the tools to work with as well by recruiting well, and another good piece of recruitment was getting Kieran Percival in as an assistant coach. He said they were going to help him backroom staff wise as well, and is
that a case of Lee Radford's probably recognised his own shortcomings maybe and asked for that help and realised that he needs it to develop as a coach?
Yeah, I'd say
is that the sign of a good coach, knowing where your weaknesses lie?
It's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. For me, that he possibly knows that you can't keep everything going all at once. You need that help and just that extra body to kind of help out, whether it be with defence, attack, different ideas coming in. I think it was a shrewd signing because he's gone away. He's been head coach of Widnes, difficult times there. And then he's gone over to Hull. Yeah, he may look at in a couple of years at getting back into being a head coach in Super League, but for now he'll carry on learning his trade. And I think Hull have done really, really well this year. That
said, with it being such a tough game this weekend, it looks like the cavalry is going to be returning for Saints. Names that we've been missing: Tommy Makinson is coming back in. Kyle Amor should be fit. Morgan Knowles should be ready to start. Alex Walmsley's named in the squad. I'm not sure whether we'll risk him this weekend with it being that calf injury. And possibly James Roby back next week. The right time, obviously we've lost a couple. Lachlan Coote's going to be out, and we think Mark Percival's going to be missing a couple of months. But the squad looks rosier this weekend, doesn't it?
Yeah, you'd be more positive about it this weekend with the likes of Makinson and Amor coming back in. Just a little bit more experience as well. Makinson does the job of a second rower coming in off his wing. We can't expect too much. This is his pre-season game, really. It's a big one to drop into.
He scored hat-trick last season, so we'll take 2.
Yeah. And having the likes of Kyler Moore, who, again, the experience, this is where he comes back into it. And he's got to really show his leadership, like he did last year. Like we were opening saying that he'd fallen kind of a little bit down in the pecking order. There's no reason why he's down there now.
Well,
at all.
Amor's one of your... Well, you pick your 4 props. Amor's one of them, whether he comes from the bench or he starts.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this weekend you obviously got Lees, Thompson, Amor, maybe Ashworth as your 4th prop, potentially, if Walmsley's not fit.
Yeah. Louis as well, you've got...
Louis can do the job. Yeah. Now, there's another question then. Who do you go with in the centres? Obviously, maybe with next week in mind. Do you go with your natural, probably 3rd centre in the squad, Matt Costello? Or do you maybe go with Louis there?
No. No, you don't go with Louis there.
Are you sure?
Positive. No.
So Matt Costello for you?
Not for me. Throw a curveball in there.
Jack Welsby?
Who
plays fullback?
Lomax.
Who plays in the halves?
Dodd and Farge.
He's in the squad. Lewis Dodd's in the 21.
Listen,
it's a possibility, isn't it?
It's all possible. I've been, to be honest, I've been getting a lot of these ideas from responses to us. I think somebody replied to us today and put that in as an idea.
Yes, it's an idea, but I don't think it'll happen the week before we play Sydney, because I don't think we'd be playing Lewis Dodd against Sydney. Or imagine that though. Imagine if Lewis Dodd won the World Club Championship against Sydney. There you go. We're all dreaming, but I don't think you'll break up your half-back partnership. I think for me, you're probably keeping as many people in the proper positions as you possibly can, and that's probably why you just go with the easy option of Welsby fullback, Costello centre, and leave everybody else in the natural places.
I'd prefer that. I'd prefer people to play in their positions rather than square pegs in round holes. They start shifting it all about. Costello, and people have talked about like our squad depth. Costello has never let anybody down when he's come in. Listen, Welsby will only learn as a fullback if he keeps playing fullback. You'd kind of hope that, listen, it's not first past the post. It's not winner takes it all in the league, is it?
Well, I think we talked about the performance against Salford where we won and we said you could drop any player in our team and they wouldn't let us down. I'm not going to change my mind on that. Maybe putting 7 or 8 in at once with positions all over the show is a step too far at times. But for me, probably just go with Matt Costello.
I think so. I think people like Matt Costello and Jack Welsby, they've got to come in and play with confidence. Play as if this is my time. Don't feel the pressure. And literally come in as in, I might be the reserve in this position, but I'm going to show that I'm worth a Super League place. If you start without confidence, I mean, you've already lost half the battle, and you bury your talents. I hope that whoever is picked, whether it is Costello, Welsby, or Dodd, or whoever, I hope that they go out there with the confidence and kind of showcase their abilities.
For Hull this weekend, I think Chris Satai and Albert Kelly are both suspended. Brito Ferremo and Andre Savelio were injured. The Tongan Terminator is also still out injured, as is, I think it's Joe Cater. Coming into the Hull FC squad are Gareth Ellis, Kieran Buchanan, Connor Wynn, and Patterson Lund. It's a 21-man squad, so there's a couple of these names you're just going to hear. I never hear of again.
I don't think Patterson Lund's got a squad.
He hasn't got a squad number, that's
thingy. So, I mean, listen, he might come in for his debut. It might be the perfect time for them to blood a youngster.
But I heard last night people going, Toronto squad depth. They've only been able to name a 19-man squad for the game against Wigan. Well, it was 19-man squads for the last 6 years, and it wasn't an issue. You only need 17 on the field. Yeah. Well, 13 before subs. But
Hull will still be strong.
Yeah.
They're not missing, really. Kelly's not been given a starting shirt this year. He's been given number 14, I think it is. They're not missing anyone really 1 to 7. Or you could argue they're not missing anyone who isn't Super League class 1 to 7 and proven Super League class.
I think Savelio and Manny Mao would get in that team.
Yeah, well,
that's about it.
Well,
that's probably what they've got missing out to the 17, isn't it?
Well, Satai, is it? The Satai, sorry.
Yeah.
He'd get in, you'd imagine. But yeah, they won't be missing enough to make them not a dangerous opponent this weekend.
For me, we can't afford to go behind.
We can afford to go behind. We just can't afford to then start worrying about being behind.
Yeah, possibly.
We've got to.
And we got out of that mindset last season, didn't we? We stuck with the task. Yeah. But I just think on Sunday, in probably going to be poor conditions.
Yeah.
You'd imagine the way the weather is at the moment. I don't think it's a game you can fall behind in and play. I'll have to play catch up. I think we need to be in it from the start. I think we'll have learned plenty of lessons over the last week as well.
I think you tend to. You're not going to learn loads and loads of lessons from being 16 points ahead of other teams.
No, and equally, I think if we don't get the result at Hull this weekend, I'm still not going to be worried. I still fancy us to finish top of the tree. It's not ideal, probably going 4 points behind Hull after 3 games, but it's a marathon, not a sprint, isn't it?
You want top 2, though. I know we want top 1, but you want top 2 as an ideal, but anywhere in the top 5. And listen, we've got the squad to win it.
Yeah, quite easily. Anything else happening this week? No, that's about it, really, isn't it?
I'll do.
He's ended the show.
Storm Dennis is on its way over, so we might have done this preview show and then the game gets called off.
Who's naming these storms?
The Met Office have named this one, I think.
Next one, Storm Albert on the way.
No, it'll be E. They do them alphabetically.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Eric.
No, it'll be all girls' name. Like Elizabeth
Storm
or
Evie.
something. Evie. Yeah, possibly.
Yeah, that'll be a nightmare, wouldn't it? Right, don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and join us on Sunday for the instant fan reaction from the K-Cobb Stadium in Hull, where hopefully we'll be celebrating the Saints win. If you see Kev, just follow him and just go, Kev.
Why?
Just because you can.